Frak, this podcast, come and listen to us talk about Battlestar Galactica. It's a show that we're talking about. Now you should put that at the beginning of every episode. Hello, interwebs, and welcome to the Frak, this podcast. I am your bedazzled host, Jesse Gender, and I'm joined as always by...
is it bedazzled or vajazzled?
You know what? I said bedazzled, but you can put vajazzled. I'm not going to complain.
I'm not going to. I just had to turn it dirty somehow.
I mean, you know, I'll bedazzle anything if you want me to. It's fine. How are you, Vera? Besides having your brain cooked.
I'm tired, man. I'm just like I every time I think like, oh, I can slow down. No, actually, I can't. So, yeah.
Fair. I'm in a similar, but I'm also exhausted, but less by being busy. I'm a little less busy at the moment, which is kind of nice. But more just the world makes me depressed for numerous
Oh yeah,
reasons.
there's that too. I mean, I told you when we first jumped on before we started recording, I'm fine as long as I don't look at the news, which means I'm not fine because I have yet to really be able to not do that. So.
Yeah, I've been trying to step away from that more and more, but it's hard. It's definitely hard. So, well, on the bright side, I did go see a few things. I saw 28 Years Later.
How was that?
It was actually really, really good. I especially it looked really amazing. Some of the cinematography was really, really cool, and it had some really great ideas. Except for it does not have a third act. It just kind of has a second act and then ends. And I was like, oh.
Well, there's going to be another one.
Yeah. And they set up like another thing that right at the very end. But it's like, it's so weird because there's like a very clear like structure to the thing.
Yeah.
It feels like it's going to be one movie. And then they have like a very quick resolution to one of the main themes of the story, like in like literally a scene, like very quick. And then they set up something very wild at the end that I won't spoil, but it's like a complete 180, like, oh, we're doing this now. And so I'm like, I'm sure they'll come back. I'm sure they will come back at the end of the next movie to the stuff that they were dealing with in this movie. But it's just such a, oh, and now we're doing a completely different thing and movie's over. It was so weird.
The thing is, we have to, because they had already started the next one, we have to hope they were far enough along to be stuck with sunk cost fallacy, because this movie underperformed quite a bit versus what they were expecting.
Well, what I am aware of is they already have the second one done, like shot. But the third one they have, because there was planned to be 3 movies.
Yeah.
The third one is not at all funded and probably will not.
That's not going to happen.
And the second one is the one that ends on a setup for Cillian Murphy to come in. So.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah. So hopefully they were smart enough to be like resolve the main tension at the end of the second movie, and then the third one is just and here's a little bit more if you want it. But
hopefully, because there's no way they're getting a third one.
Yeah. But I liked it. It was good overall. It just does not end. So and it's even worse than like, because you have Across the Spider-Verse. That movie, for example, is also clearly a part 1, but it feels like there's a climax and then like a big setup for the next movie. Like it's clearly a setup for another thing. But at least it feels like there's some sort of thematic resolution with Gwen's story in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
But this one literally just, like, stops, and it's weird.
and honestly, just with Miles making the decision that he does, that resolves the immediate conflict. It just propels him into another one that he's dealing with.
Yeah, this movie does not do that, and it's weird. So, yeah. But I liked it. There's a couple shots in the movie that I'm like, oh, that's really, really good. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a Danny Boyle movie, so I'm not shocked to hear that.
Yeah. It's there's some gorgeous cinematography in this thing. It's really good. I also saw a movie. I've been going back and I'm watching movies about queerness and fascism for no real reason.
What a random topic.
I know. But a movie called The Damned, which was very interesting. It's a 1969 movie by an Italian director. Same guy who did I I forget his name off the top of my head. I'm blanking on it, but like a famous Italian director. But it's an interesting movie, The Damned. It's about like this. It's very Succession-y in that like this rich family falling apart during the Nazi regime because everyone's sort of vying for power, and it's an interesting film that one of the characters is like in drag at one point in the film, but then ultimately becomes a Nazi, and it's interesting to look at like masculinity in that world. So yeah.
Yeah, the only Italian director I know off the top of my head is Federico Fellini, but if I pulled up the correct movie, it's Luchino Visconti.
Yes, that's who it is. Yes. So it's an interesting film. I might be talking about it in a video, talking about that and a few other ones in the future. So, for no reason whatsoever.
No, none. I don't think I've seen anything new since we last talked.
Fair. Just been working away in the YouTube mines.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair. Well, maybe one day we will emerge from this toil like a phoenix. Speaking of which, we're talking about the Battlestar Galactica episode, Flight of the Phoenix. Is that a transition that works? I don't know. But I
don't know. I mean, it is a title that if you know what it's referencing, then you already know about 3/4 of the plot of this episode.
It's also interesting too because this episode, the show is run by Ronald D. Moore, and he also wrote the movie Star Trek: First Contact, where there is also the Flight of the Phoenix in that one. So it's a well that he's returned to several times, which is kind of funny. So, but I also should read some comments because I didn't do that last week, and I did mean to. There was a bunch of people. So we were talking about reactions to the episode Home Part 2, which is the one where you had your freak out over the fact that they cut from the tomb that they were in back to the Galactica, and you got really upset about that, and I just enjoyed watching because it was very funny for me. And we had a lot of comments about that. Laz Peacock 12. I just like emphasizing the cock part of that. Anyways,
of course,
says Vera's freak out over the sudden unexplained return to Galactica is the funniest thing I've heard on YouTube since one of the hosts of Well, There's Your Problem responded to the news that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died with several minutes of maniacal laughter.
Oh, Jesus.
Julie Token says 100% agreed with Jesse about the shovel cocking. A lot of cocking in this comment section this time in Scary Movie 3. That and 2 lines were all I found funny, and the lines were only funny because Leslie Nielsen said them. So I need to go back and watch. Speaking of, there's that new Naked Gun movie coming out, and I need to go back. I've never seen the old Naked Gun movies at all, any of them.
They're
of their time.
Well, I mean, the one that, as far as dated humor, the most of its time is the third one, which has got all the transphobic shit in it. But here's the thing. My memory of the Naked Gun movies was pretty good, but then, like, last year, I had a whole bunch of comedies from the 70s and 80s commissioned to watch throughout the year, and I watched it again, but more to the point, also on that docket was watching Airplane. Mm-hmm. And the Naked Gun is Airplane but worse. I mean, it is not as rapid fire. It is not as clever. It is just obviously what it is riffing on and the jokes it is making are not the same. But in terms of the approach, it's just worse Airplane.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll probably still give it a shot because I'm curious.
I mean, which was a disappointment. I mean, I get why I liked it when I was 13, but you know, rewatching it, I'm like, oh, now that I'm not 13, I'm like, oh, this is just not as. That's not to say there's no good jokes. There's a few in there. There's one that like I'd forgotten about. It really got me. That was about. Do I want to just say the whole joke?
It's up to you.
So there's a moment where Frank like moves some files on his desk and he picks something up and goes, "Hey, it's that missing evidence from the, whatever case. Well, he was innocent after all." And then his partner comes up and goes, "Frank, he was executed 3 years ago." And Frank just sort of shrugs and puts it back down.
That's actually really good.
That's the best joke in the whole movie. It's all downhill from there. Yeah, plus, there's the discomfort of seeing O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah. Well, they make a joke about that in the new movie. At least
I've seen the trailer, and that was a decent joke. Like, the trailers for the new one, I'm 50-50 on. Like, about half of them, like, that's pretty good. And then the other half, I'm like, no.
I will say I did see the trailer for it when I went and see 28 Weeks Later, but I did get very, very high before going to see that movie. Because it was a Danny Boyle movie. I needed to be very high for it, which was the correct decision. With a Danny Boyle movie, going in very high could end really badly or could end really well.
I was going to say, I don't think I would recommend getting high for most Danny Boyle movies.
It depends on the movie.
I've seen.
It depends on the movie. Trainspotting movies do not go in high for. Jesus Christ, either of them. But I will say this was actually a very good movie to get high to. But anyways, the trailer was very, very funny. But again, I was very high. So maybe that's just the way I should go in to see the actual movie itself. So, yeah.
Probably,
I will say
honestly.
Yeah, probably is the best way to do it. Anyways, there is one more comment I wanted to read. This is from Geek Time 2001, who said, I really disagree that this story says nothing about Zarek. Every conversation he has with his second in command boils down to patience versus impatience. The second wants to take any opportunity he can get and is frustrated when he's held back. Zarek very clearly is thinking longer in term, and not only that, but is willing to adapt or cut losses if need be. We've seen a lot of Zarek pursuing his own plans, but not so much of him collaborating in a lesser role, and I think his conversations show nicely how he still has his eye on the big picture, but that his motivations aren't just power, and that he's careful about actions having larger consequences. So I thought that was a really insightful comment about our analysis of Zarek in that episode. So, yeah. There. All right.
Thumbs up. Good comment.
Yeah, good comment. I thought it was very thoughtful. Anyways, let us jump into our recap of Flight of the Phoenix. We start off with a not at all ominous shot of a bunch of Cylon raiders just flying through space for no reason. We'll later learn the reason, but at first we're just sort of like, oh yeah, those are Cylon ships. Then we cut to Chief looking over a Viper. And as he's touching the Viper, he kind of gets a little spiritual about it. He's like, oh, he can kind of sense there's something wrong with it. And he is flashing back to his time with OG Boomer, the original Sharon that he was with. But he finds a leak on the ship and knows, because he sort of figured there was something wrong with it, and he puts an unserviceable scrap sticker on top of it. Mm-hmm. So there's that. We then also, this is again sort of Galactica's regular sort of montage cut between a couple different things happening at once. So at the same time, we see Hilo walking in on Starbuck playing poker with a bunch of the pilots, including one Racetrack. Hilo introduces himself to Racetrack, but they don't shake his hand. And Starbuck tries to...
It's not Racetrack that he holds his hand out.
Oh, it's hot. It might be Hot Dog. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not... Actually, I don't think it was Hot Dog either. It was somebody who I didn't recognize.
Well, a pilot. Basically,
it was one of the new pilots who came in while he was away.
Long and short, they were not welcoming him into the group. Starbuck tries to welcome him in to play poker, but Hilo seems to realize, like, hey, I'm not really wanted here. And so as he leaves, I think Racetrack is the one who like calls him a Cylon lover, and Starbuck defends him, saying, regardless of who he fracks, he saved my ass. How could you fall in love with a toaster? And Starbuck sort of defends, like, frack with your head, and someone says, just ask the chief. During this sequence too, we also there was again a couple jumps here. Sorry, I was taking notes and it jumped ahead a little bit.
It's okay. Actually, give me 1 second. I think you've got it mixed up about who says what. It's not Racetrack who says the Cylon lover line. It's the I don't know who he is pilot.
Yeah. Well, regardless, it's the pilots talking to each other.
It is. I mean, my only note is, and this is going to apply for the next few scenes as well. Oh, so like everyone just had the asshole knob cranked up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll come back to that in a second. We jump around to a couple other scenes, but one that we also jump back to, the poker game here. Starbuck gets up after people start like ranting about how I think this is Racetrack. She folds and she wants to get out of the game, and she says, I've been dealing with bad food and I'm tired of pretending a car and like dealing with all this shit, and I'm tired of pretending a card game is our high point of our day because this is all there is. This is all that's left is this.
Yeah, that was Racetrack.
Yeah, and then Starbucks says, "Hey, Earth is out there," and then she goes to say, "I'm gonna go find Hilo." And then Racetrack says, "Yeah, maybe the Cylon whore taught him a few tricks," implying that she's going to have sex with him. And then that's where Starbuck like shoves Racetrack onto it, like hits her head onto a table, and we cut away from that.
Yeah.
So tensions are boiling.
I'm just gonna say that now. I understand what this plus the next scene is communicating, like that people are getting in a bad place because they're realizing that it is possible that they're going to spend the rest of their lives doing exactly this. Like, I get that, but I still find it contrived that, basically the heat got cranked up under everybody at the same time. Or as I put it, the way I put it in my notes, everybody had their asshole dial cranked up at the same time so that everybody's a bit more on edge. Like, sometimes that works. Like, we had an episode a little bit ago where it was just, multiple people hitting their breaking point in different ways, but it was like 3 separate stories of that happening. And here it's just like, boy, everyone's an asshole now.
I get you.
I get it, but it still feels mildly contrived in terms of how it's presented, not what's happening.
Fair enough. I can see what you're saying. For me, it kind of works, especially as just like a coming into this episode on its own sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, if it's an episode trying to like get across this boiling tension bit to get across the point that it's making, I can understand you kind of like everyone like you're just, it's not even like everyone's turned up the asshole card. It kind of feels more like they're all in a fucking pot and someone just turned up the heat a little bit more, I think is kind of the metaphor.
Okay, then maybe my issue is that far too high a percentage of the people with the heat cranked up on their reaction to that heat is to be more of an asshole.
Fair enough.
Maybe what I need is more people responding to the pressure differently. Because it seems like everyone who it's notable, like, oh, they're definitely feeling the heat, it's because they're being more of an asshole than normal.
Okay, I gotta try to be careful with me saying this. Maybe I'm relating too hard to this episode because everyone feeling under pressure and kind of being assholes to each other feels very relatable to me right now. In the current world that we are in, everyone who is supposedly on the same side being kind of dicks to each other feels very real.
I get it. I don't need it in my entertainment. I have it in my reality.
Oh, fair enough. I'm going to be revealing and say I loved this episode for exactly how relatable I found it to this moment. But yeah, I buy it, I guess is what I'll say. Everyone just kind of being stressed the fuck out and as a result not really thinking and just being dicks to each other. Yeah, I get it. I buy that is real.
I get it too. I don't need it in my entertainment right now.
Fair enough. Well, anyways, another one that we quickly get, scene that we quick get is Callie's having a party for her because she has finally been released from the brig. And everyone's sort of like cheering her on and like, again, being anti-Cylon, being like, oh, you were thrown in the brig for 30 days. Yeah, they should have given you a medal for killing that toaster. You know,
it's that hard R, Jesse.
I know. The T, but the T word, the toast word, I don't know.
Can't say the T slur because that means something else.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I was trying to avoid.
The Cylon slur. I don't know. But yeah, it is ostensibly a hey, you're out of the brig party, but it's really a hey, you shot a Cylon party.
Yeah, exactly. And Callie, the chief comes in to try and grab something, and he's not really interested in the party at all. And Callie tries to thank him, saying, hey, I heard you went to bat for me. And, the chief tries to just toss it off, being like, hey, I need all the knuckle draggers I can get. He doesn't want to deal with any of it.
Yeah.
So. Because it's complicated emotions, because, she killed my girlfriend, but my girlfriend was, part of the group that killed a bunch of humans. So, yeah. Anyways, Hilo is drinking alone in a raptor and is joined by the chief, who starts talking about Sharon and how she used to, land this ship. Like, it had some problems. I forget the exact wording, but it's like, oh, there was some hydraulic problems or whatever.
But that she came in too hot on the landing and they had to always like bang the landing parts back into shape or something like that.
Yeah. And Hilo says, approaches made her nervous. So it's showcasing how both of these men kind of knew her really well, or know her really well, depending on how you look at it. And Hilo then goes to try and talk to the chief and say, hey, I know what you two had, and the Sharon that I am with, the tumor, it just kind of evolved. And the chief sort of says, did she fill you in on the rest of our plan, that maybe we would have children and get married, and I was just a big fracking idiot? Maybe I should be grateful to you, though, because, that freak in her belly could have been mine. And at which point Hilo pushes him, knocks him to the ground. But then he immediately
it's a little bit more than a knock to the ground, because they're kind of up in the hatch of the raptor. So he pushes him, and he it's not like he goes down from standing on the ground. He falls off the edge of this thing and rolls off the wing and hits the ground. So he's got a little bit further to go than just pushed to the ground.
Yes. But Hilo immediately tries to apologize and help him back up, but then the chief comes at him swinging, and they start fighting, but Hilo tries to stop him several times, saying, hey, enough. But the chief says, you don't get to call it, and then starts wailing on Hilo to the point where he gets into a rage where he grabs a wrench, but stops himself just before hitting Hilo with the wrench.
Here's a detail that I actually kind of liked.
Mm-hmm.
You say the chief is wailing on him, but it's very clear that the chief is not trained in combat. Mm-hmm. Because Hilo, even as he's knocked to the ground with the chief on top of him, is blocking or deflecting most of these hits. He's getting his arms in the chief's way so that instead of the chief punching him in the face, he's hitting his shoulder or things like that. So it's a small detail that kind of shows that Hilo knows how to fight, the chief doesn't.
And I liked it too because, Hilo is not trying to escalate this at all. Again, he tries to stop it several times and he's not really hitting back, just defending himself.
Yeah.
And it just it actually made me like Hilo quite a bit, where it's I see why he initially pushed the chief, which is not a good reaction, but I understand why he instinctively did it, because the guy's insulting his kid. But then he tries to de-escalate at every single moment, which the chief is not going for. And Hilo kind of understands why, and is not trying to, provoke more.
Yeah, well, I will note that while Hilo is primarily defensive, he does throw back some punches. He's not strictly just deflecting. I emphasize that because that's what he's doing when he's on the ground. Mm-hmm. But he does deliver some direct blows to the chief's head, kind of in that, please stop or I'll have to keep doing it way.
Yeah. I don't think it's a he's trying to he's being defensive, but also being I will fight back if I need to.
Yeah.
He's not trying to escalate it.
I'm not disagreeing with your assessment. I'm just being sure that the audience understands exactly what that means.
Yes. But it's a scene that really did make me like Hilo a lot more. Maybe think well of him, I guess is the best way to put it. But then after, the chief sort of calms himself down a little bit, he says, I don't even know why I'm mad at you. My Sharon is dead. That thing in the brig isn't Sharon. So dehumanizing tumor to make himself feel better, essentially.
Yep.
We then cut to the CIC, where Dwala is listening to some static on the radio. She is finding out that there is broadcasting an automatic signal that the Galactica is, and she doesn't know why. And Ty sort of says, the silence could be using that to trace our position. And Adama says, let's assume that's the case, and starts making preparations to set up jump coordinates and things like that. And that's when Dwala's screen explodes. And then before we cut to the opening credits, we see Cylon Raiders are on their way.
Yeah, and a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. So, cut back from the opening credits. Adama is helping Dwala get up. She's saying she's okay, but he says you should go see Doc Coddle. And we learn from Gata that it was a power surge and that there is a Cylon virus that has infiltrated their network. And Ty basically goes up to Gata and says, I don't care if you need to go through the program line by line, fix it. To which Gata kind of has an outburst at, it's like, he starts off being like really frustrated. It's like, that's impossible. That'll take weeks. I can't physically do that. And he's like, well, I don't care. Do it. And Gata has an outburst. Ty says, I don't want excuses. And then Gata has an outburst said, it's not an excuse, sir. It's a fracking fact. To which Adama says, pull yourself together to Gata. And talking to Ty, he says, months on the run, what do we have to show for it? Deteriorating conditions. The only thing we have to look forward to is this. This is what they're kind of realizing. So kind of going to the point that we were talking about earlier. Everyone's just feeling the boiling point. We then have Lee going to talk to the chief. And Lee is basically complaining about the scrapped Viper. Basically saying like, hey, I need that Viper. And the chief's like, nah, it's not going to work. You can't get to do anything with it. If it was a horse, I'd shoot it. And chief's like, what do you want me to do? Work my crew to death? And Lee's like, no, nobody's expecting any miracles, which feels like a call out to Scotty to me, knowing Ronald D. Moore, being a Trekkie. And the chief sort of whispers to himself, maybe that's the problem.
So odd that we have a reference to a horse.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I now can't, off the top of my head, cannot remember if there have been references to animals before. But I don't know. Seems really odd.
Yeah.
Like, granted, I still don't know how this entire society connects to Earth. Obviously, it does in some fashion. But horses, really interesting. Especially because, like, these are clearly spacefaring, planet colonizing people. Like, you've been dragging horses every place you go. Like, what? Yeah. What is this?
Yeah, that is interesting. It reminds me of Star Wars. So Star Wars is famous for like every animal in that series is some weird little freaky thing. Yeah. Except for in the Ewok movies, the old Ewok movies, they do have horses. So like just horses are canonical in Star Wars. Just like there are,
but only on Endor.
Only on Endor do horses exist. It speaks to the cheapness of that production. It's like, yeah, we'll just do a horse. They have horses. It's fine.
It's kind of funny. I mean, like that kind of weirdness. Like, wait, what? Can also just be funny if it's done on purpose. Like what? A line that for some people like takes them completely out of The Last Unicorn, but is a line that I love. Is at one point where the wizard sort of comes across this very Robin Hood-esque band, and the captain like puts his arm around him like, "Come sit, have a taco."
That's really funny. Oh, now I want a taco.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we cut to the chief doing some metal work, starting to build something on the deck. And then his work crew comes in. And he basically
his work crew comes in yawning, giving you the impression that the chief's been at this all night and they just got up.
Yes. And he basically says, we're going to build a new fighter, and tells them this is an off-duty project. No one takes anything away from maintenance or repairs. And Jammer starts pushing back against this. It's like, hey, you need frame, avionics, life support. It's fracking impossible to build a Viper out here. To which the chief kind of gets angry at and says, forget you. I don't need any of you. Get back to work.
Yeah.
So they're basically like, yeah, you can't do it. It's an impossible dream, man. Can't. You can't do it. I don't believe in you.
We're not listening to Journey. We will stop believing.
But then we have a scene between Coddle and Roslin. Coddle is being incredibly serious, none of his typical sarcasm here, and he's basically delivering the news to Roslin that she only has a month at the outside left to live. And there is a nice little beat when he tells her that. Roslin sort of steps behind a curtain and kind of has a moment to herself that Coddle doesn't really see. And then she comes back out and says, will I be able to work? He says, yes, unless the cancer goes to your brain.
Yeah. And I mean, I just wrote down a month. I mean, no, bullshit, but also, damn. Like, it's well delivered as a moment. I don't believe it for a fucking second. But well delivered.
Hey, you don't believe that Roslin's going to die in just a little bit?
No.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, I don't know.
No.
Either that or the rest of the series just takes place within a month's time frame,
Like, no, I do not believe that.
Well, we'll see. Then we cut to Lee, Starbuck, and Hot Dog, I believe, all doing shooting target practice. And Lee is doing target practice, and I guess they're all these, but he's aggressively shooting it. A picture of Boomer.
Is the bullseye, yeah.
Is the bullseye, yeah. Which is
that's
weird. I mean, I get what the show's trying to do, but it's something I don't entirely believe. I feel like it would have just been like a Centurion. It feels like really weird to do that.
It's one of those things that gets weirder the more you think about it. I'm like, okay, who had the time
to like Photoshop that and print it out?
And cared enough to make this, print it, and place it on the targets?
Mm-hmm.
And like, understand, listeners, it's not like on a fixed target. It's like those paper things that just hang. And this face is on all of them. So somebody like went and imprinted and inserted this theoretically over an existing targeting template. Like, I'm not saying you can't make me believe that somebody would do that, but I think... Come on.
And that it would be like normal, like I guess everyone's biased enough against the, like, I guess, like, Boomer did shoot Adama, so there's like some pent up aggression that people are letting out, but it does feel weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And also, here's another question that I just had thinking about this. Again, it's not a big deal. It's one of those you don't really think about in the moment, but I was, because I'm a nitpicking asshole. They are on a ship where they have very limited resources. In fact, a few episodes ago, they made note of the fact that they were almost out of like explosive rounds, not normal rounds, but explosive rounds. So you're wasting a whole bunch of like ammo
on target practice. Because it's live ammo.
Yeah. So that was just one that was weird to me.
Yeah, no, that's valid.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways. They're basically talking about the Chiefs Viper project, and Lee is kind of poo-pooing it, being like, there's a piece of junk, who's actually going to fly it, not me. And then Starbuck says she's going to fly it, but she starts laughing, and we also notice right before this that the oxygen in the room is starting to deplete. So her laughter is clearly a sign of oxygen deprivation.
Yeah.
Hot Dog behind them, as she starts laughing about this, passes out on the floor. And Lee and Starbuck,
which of course is because he's the less important character. He actually should be the last one to pass out, because the other two are talking, and that will burn you through oxygen a hell of a lot faster than just standing there breathing, which is all that he's doing. But he's the supporting character, so he's weak.
Yeah, he gets to pass out. He's also, I think, slightly younger than both of them too, which is seems like he'd get better oxygen. Anyways,
you gotta have the main characters be the big damn heroes.
Playing devil's advocate.
For fuck's sake!
I will play devil's advocate here. Hot Dog is a relatively new pilot, and arguably Lee and Starbuck probably went through some level of oxygen deprivation training as pilots who went through the military. I think they even do something like that too in like our modern day military. They intentionally like deprive you of oxygen for a little bit of time to see how long you'll last without oxygen. Like I think they actually do that for like Navy SEALs. And so I could buy, like, if you're a pilot training to work in space, they would probably also do, like, exercises of hold your breath for as long as fucking possible, which Hot Dog may not have had because he was a pilot brought up post-war, like, the genocide of the colonies.
Okay, but you still need to know it's coming, because they're just talking and burning through their oxygen. That is not representative of having had training. Fuck your devil's advocacy. Go sit in the corner and think about what you did.
I'm just saying, they might be prepared for it.
Jesus Christ. They are surprised. They are talking. She's laughing, which really burns you through oxygen. And yet the guy who's being quiet passes out first. Bullshit. Stop defending it. Move on.
I'm just saying, get in the comments, everybody. Tell me what you think.
God
I need to know,
damn
who
it.
do you think wins this argument? Let me know. Anyways, yes, they basically start laughing over Hot Dog's body because, again, oxygen deprived, joking about his blue lips or whatever, and yada, yada, yada. It's not really important. They do shoot out the window and allow oxygen at the last moment. There's a little bit of like, oh, are we going to get a bullet in time, that sort of thing, but they managed to save themselves.
No, because we're gonna kill two of the main leads right now. Of course not.
Yeah, of course. But we cut to Gata explaining what happened. The computer decided that the room was overpressurized, and so it was, getting oxygen out of there. And he basically found out what is causing this. Again, it's a heuristic computer virus that is running in parallel with all the computer programs on the Galactica, tying all the way back to when Ty and Gata set up the computer network with the Cylon chip in the season premiere. So it infiltrated then and has been slowly working its way through its systems.
What Gata because it gets asked why now. Gata
says that's what it
probably took it this long to crack all the ciphers and codes and passwords, and now it's testing. Now itself. It's flexing its muscle and figuring out what it can and can't do.
And Adama, either Adama or Ty, one of the two of them, asked how to kill it. And Gata says, well, it'll be extremely difficult to eradicate. Again, Gata or Baltar, one of the two of them says it. And Adama says, well, it's lucky I have an expert on board. And he tells Gata, run this past our prisoner.
Yep.
So, alluding to Tumor. We then cut back down to the crew deck, where the chief is working on his Viper project, and he's trying to get this large piece of metal, the Viper wing, into place by himself, and can't do it and gets frustrated. And then one of his crew, one of the older guys, comes over to help him, and chief is like, no, get back to work. And the guy says, hey, it's a 2-man job. Let me help you. And both he and the chief work on it. Jammer also comes over to help, and we see Adama watching them.
Yep.
So, everyone's starting to pitch in a little bit on this project. Starting to believe in him. Also, just to note, and this is kind of going throughout all of this, lights are starting to flicker around the Galactica. We cut to D explaining to Adama, there's been power failures across the ship, damage control is on standby, and all that stuff. And then Adama talks to Ty, and he sort of asks him, have you seen the fighter that the chief is working on? And Ty sort of poo-poos it, says, it's an imaginary waste of time. And Adama's like, well, the deck crew doesn't seem to think so. And Ty says, well, it's a pipe dream. You should shut it down. And Adama says, maybe it'll come to that. But, I don't want to take it away until I have to, because it's giving them something right now.
Yes.
So Adama sort of sees the value in this project might be worth something. We then cut to Duala and Lee doing fight training. And so Apollo's teaching her how to fight, how to disarm someone who comes at her with a knife. But during
he's showing her a throw in specific, and then he integrates a training knife into it.
Yes. And then when he throws her on the ground at one point, there's an almost kiss romantic beat. So...
Which, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck are we doing?
Hey, everyone's young and hot and wants to fuck, all right? So, yeah. And of course, as soon as that happens, that's also the exact moment that Billy comes in and Duala goes over to him. Billy doesn't really catch the romantic beat. But
you can practically hear the soundtrack going, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah,
it's fuck this,
It's
man.
Also weird because I think if I recall, Lee's the one that sort of pushes it into that romantic kind of moment.
I'm not sure I would attribute it to either. Honestly, I would attribute it to the narrative.
Yes.
Like she disarms him and she's on top of him and they just hold there for a moment and the camera holds there for a moment and it honestly feels a lot more like the writer's room taking 2 action figures and going and kiss like their freaking Dark Helmet with his dolls.
Yeah, especially since Lee and Duala have never had any real
interaction like
what
this. What the fuck? Stop it! Cut it out!
Yeah.
God damn it, man.
Well, we then cut to Hilo going to see Tumor. And he asks her, do you have memories of the chief before the attack on the colonies? And she says yes. And he asks, do you still love him? And Toomer says, hey, you're the father of my child. You're the first in my heart, and nothing's going to change that.
Which, you'll notice, is not an answer to that question.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is fair. She might still love him. That doesn't necessarily mean that she can't.
Yes, but I'm just noting she didn't actually answer the question.
Or just solve the problem by forming a throuple. Just throuple. Throuple would fix so many problems on so many TV shows. I'm just saying.
I don't think this particular throuple is a good idea. I think the three of them would be too messy.
Oh, I don't disagree.
As a group.
Yes, I do not disagree. I make that in jest. There are some times where I think a throuple would work. I mean, I think Kirk, Spock, and McCoy were all fucking, and I think that would have, if they weren't, it would have certainly helped some things. But anyways, you know, Kirk and Spock were a tender fuck, and then Spock and McCoy were like angry fucking the entire time. So
yeah, that tracks.
And then McCoy was just teaching Kirk moves while they were having sex. Anyways, we then have Hilo showing Toomer the code for the Cylon logic bomb, and she reads it, and she kind of goes into like a trance for a second, and she says, I need to talk to Adama right now. It's been learning your systems, finding weak spots so it can turn the Galactica against you. It'll do things like suffocate the crew, crash the ship into other ships. And Hilo asks, like, well, what about the baby? Do the Cylons don't want to kill your baby? And she says, well, I'm a mistake. They think I'm a mistake. They're going to come and kill us all.
Which, like, I don't believe.
Mm-hmm.
The question is just whether or not she believes that. That's what I'm not sure. Like, based off how we saw them react to seeing her still alive, like
at the end of the last episode,
yeah, I don't believe that for an instant. She might, though.
I think what saves this for me, because what this could have been is an easy setup for we need a problem of the week. So we need to reasonably put them all in danger. So we need to just yada, 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 yada. She could also kind of die too. You know what I mean? Like the narrative just being like, yeah, she could also die too, even though that doesn't logistically make sense. So we'll just say that so you're not really thinking about it. So we could conceivably all die. What saves it is later on, there is a plot beat point made where it is Adama, and we'll come back to this in more detail later, but Adama clearly points out that the Cylons may be trying to literally come for her. So at least the episode doesn't forget it, so it reads to me more, she believes it. She believes that she might die with them, but that's not necessarily what the Cylons' goals. The show doesn't forget that as a overriding possible goal of the Cylons for the episode.
Yeah,
because it could have read as just a thing that the episode just wanted you to go like, hey, forget about that, so you can invest in the stakes of the episode. But no, it reads more like it's a thing.
Today we're gonna pretend that didn't happen.
Yes, exactly. We get a quick reminder that the Cylon ships are coming. We cut to that, taking their damn time. And then Toomer, Adama goes to see Toomer, and, she says, Commander Adama, he says, hey, whatever you have to say, make it quick. He does not want to spend any time with her, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, nah, get the fuck away from me. Then we cut to Lee talking to Starbuck. Better way to set this up. Lee is talking to Starbuck, and they're all working on the Viper, the chief has been working on. And Lee is criticizing, hey, you put the Viper, you put the seat too far back. It's going to stop your maneuverability. And Starbuck goes, hey, we're not going for maneuverability, we're going for speed. And she's like, well, besides, you don't think it'll fly anyways. And then Lee looks down, and Duala's also there helping, too, working on the communications. And saying, like, the comm system's a mess. And then Ty comes in, and he sort of sees her and says, oh, soon we'll have the whole CIC down here. And he even, looks at Apollo, like, you're working on this too, Apollo? And Apollo's like, no, not me. And he's like, at least someone's got a little sense. So it's just, again, sense, like, everyone's starting to pitch in and work on this project. It's become a community thing. Ty says he's looking for the chief, and they said, oh, well, the chief's getting rack time. But he goes looking for him. Chief is at the still that they have. And Ty sort of comes in, and, Ty's like, oh, no, I'm just making solvents to make parts. And Ty's like, no, bullshit. I know a still when I see one.
I'm honestly surprised he didn't sniff this thing out sooner. And I mean that literally. I am surprised he wasn't like, there's booze here somewhere.
My booze senses are tingling. But yes, he said, the chief comes clean and says, look, I need booze to trade for parts. I need engines for the ship. And I know I need Adama's permission to cannibalize the Rex. So, I don't want to go through that route. And Ty sort of like goes in on him and says, this is never going to fly. And the chief's like, but I got to try. It's all I got left if I don't have that. And then he pauses and it sort of trails off. Ty sees this and then goes to leave, but seemingly has been moved by what the chief says. And he says, hey, well, I almost forgot. I promised the XO of this other ship. He's got some engines that I need someone to haul out there. Basically telling him, hey, you can take those engines.
Yeah, they're probably junk anyway, but
yeah, exactly. And the chief is glad to help, sir, but then on his way out, Ty goes back and grabs some of the booze as payment, I guess, for the his helping the chief out. But now he has a steady supplies of booze.
I did a good thing. That deserves a double shot.
Well, it means too that Ty now is going to be able to have a steady supply of cheap booze.
Which, honestly, him running out of booze was a plot point for a hot minute, but then it got completely dropped and he's just had access to booze.
Yeah, it's been kind of forgotten all of season. It was like a thing in season 1. Season 2 hasn't really addressed that too much.
Yeah.
So, yep. We then cut to Roslyn, or Adama going into his quarters where Roslyn is, and she's thanking him for letting her use his quarters while she's there visiting Coddle. And then she returns his book from way back in season 1 that he lent her. And, he says, no, that was a gift. And, she's like, yes, I know you never lend a book. I know, but I've had it for far too long. It belongs in your collection. And there's seemingly, it's not overtly said, but it seems to be Adama kind of aware that she's saying that she's not long for this world without saying it. Like, it's not overtly stated, but there seems to be some sort of awareness of it.
Yeah.
Of like, something's going on.
He has plot sense.
Yes, yeah.
I see. We are doing plot.
Yes, I understand. But then he says, there's something I need to tell you about. And he kind of just drops it on her. Our computer's infected by a Cylon virus, corrupting our systems. It may be a prelude to an all-attack by the Cylons.
By the way.
Yeah, it's very like, okay. Yeah, she's like about to head out. Yeah.
In an odd way, kind of compliments something that I didn't mention about Hilo's scene with Toomer, which is like, do you still remember, the chief from before the attack? Okay. Oh, and by the way, can you look at this code that's destroying the ship?
Yeah.
While I've got you here.
Oh yeah, we got we're dealing interpersonal problems. Here's the actual thing going on.
Oh shit! Right, the plot.
Yeah. But anyways, Adama says, we tried to disable it, and the Vice President Baltar and Gaeta are handling it, but I'm not really too hopeful. And Rosin's like, well, I don't really know what I could give you other than moral support. And he's like, well, I could use your advice. So, cut out of that scene, we go over to Ty talking to Gaeta. And he's and Baltar's there as well. And Gaeta basically gives him this plan of, our plan is we can erase our systems and then restore them from our pre-war backups, which will get rid of the virus. But as Ty points out, it'll leave them with their pants down until everything's back online.
Basically, restore factory settings.
Yeah, exactly. And they say Adama is considering it, and because this is really their only option. And Ty says, okay, well, let's do it. We can possibly do it, but let's jump a few times away so we can get some distance between us and the Cylons. And Gaeta's like, nope, we can't do that because if we risk a jump, all of our systems are compromised. It could just kill us by doing that. So
yep.
You got to do it this way. Cut back to, now that we have that context, because we learn that Adama is aware of this in his scene with Roslyn. He's talking to Roslyn, and he basically says, Toomer has a solution that she says she has a solution to the problem, but I'm not sure I can trust her. It took everything I had to not to put my hands around her throat, and I can't believe I'm contemplating this. And Roslyn sort of is like, yeah, they're experts on manipulation. And he sort of says, like, Adama says, well, this isn't the one who shot me. And Roslyn says, can they really be that different? And then she argues, like, is it possible your judgment has been clouded by this? I would say yes, but also we created them. There's always a chance we might find a common ground. So.
Yeah.
We then cut to Toomer being brought through the hallways of the Galactica, which, everyone's, the crew of the Galactica sort of seeing her and giving her looks. And she's being drawn...
they seem to actually take care to do it
get a
properly
shot
this time, as opposed to the frickin' Lee Harvey Oswald, Jack Ruby perp walk they did with our previous Sharon before. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got, guards on her, and the halls are not crowded with people calling for her blood, and then they've got her in cuffs.
Yeah, they got her in cuffs. They also got her in a collar thing that they're sort of leading her by. So yeah.
I want one of those. It's hot.
Yeah, it was. I was very kinky. Yeah. They bring her into the CIC. And she says, we need to work quickly. We're on borrowed time. And Dama says, let her go. And then Toomer creepily showcases how much she knows everybody, and has the memories of the other Sharon by sort of going to Dee and says, hey, do you still carry your father's pocket knife? Adama says, give it to her. And then she goes to talk to Gaeta and says, I need a fiber optic link. I need access to the comm systems. Adama says, let her do that. Then she takes her knife, cuts into her hand, and as we'll see in a second, she takes the fiber optic cable and shoves it into her hand and connects it to herself. We'll see what she does with that later, but that's essentially what happens.
Yeah, I want to pause on this beat, though. Mm-hmm. Because this is one of those things that is very cool, but is also very at odds with the show as a whole.
Yes.
So this is cool because it is kind of the first really strong visual reminder that we have had with honestly any of the Cylons outside of their behavior, other than Leoben giving into the certain kind of radiation, that the fact that she is at least in some way mechanical. Mm-hmm. And that is cool. It desperately needs you to not start asking questions, though. Mm-hmm. The big one being, wait a goddamn minute. If there is enough mechanical aspects to her that she can plug a cable into herself, how the fuck can they not detect through scanning that she has mechanical components to her? Why have we always needed some elaborate goddamn blood test?
Yeah, that is a weird thing.
Yeah, it is. I'm not even going to say that it's necessarily a screw up. I think it was a deliberate choice to okay, this is really cool, and hopefully they won't ask questions.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
Sometimes you're allowed to do. My favorite examples of that is Jurassic Park when the fence comes down and the T-Rex steps out, and then a few minutes later the T-Rex is pushing a car over a cliff through the same gap that the T-Rex just stepped through. And that wasn't a mistake. They knew it was wrong, but they hoped that audiences would be too wrapped up in it to notice. You are allowed to do that, but I'm sorry, Ron, I caught you. My general rule of thumb with that, my general thing with anything that's a plot hole is I don't consider it to be worth noting unless it's something you catch on a first viewing when you're not actively watching for plot holes. If it's something that you catch on third or fourth viewing, you're like, wait a minute. As far as I'm concerned, that's fair play.
There's a famous Hitchcock quote on exactly that I always like to go to. See if I can find it really quick. For some reason, I can't find the quote, but there is a Hitchcock quote that is essentially around that, where it's if viewers are invested in the plot at any given moment, then I don't really care if it doesn't really make sense if they think about it after they leave the theater. It's if during the movie you're watching it, you're feeling it, you're in the moment, I don't care if after the film you pick it to pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of that thing with the Dark Knight sort of Joker thing that everyone's oh, it's a big plot hole that the Joker knew about all, you'd set up all of this weird plan to get out of there ahead of time.
Yeah, but and you didn't care when you were watching it the first time,
you did not give a shit the first. You're ooh, this is cool. So yeah, it works.
Yeah. Which is why shit like CinemaSins fucking sucks. And I know they try and claim that they're doing it for comedic purposes, but they don't do jokes very often, and they know that people take it seriously. I would like them to retire.
Yeah, it's a myopic way of viewing art. So
yes.
Anyways, it's a very literal way of viewing art, I guess is the best way to put it. So yeah, I don't really mind it here. It's, vibes based. It's vibes based body horror cyberpunk shit, and I'm always here for cyberpunk body horror shit. So plug me into the mainframe, everybody. Anyways, the Cylon Raiders finally arrive. There's multiple targets under Raiders contact. They've been tracked. The Vipers are all launched. They launched all of them. All of the Vipers, it seems like. And there's a shit ton of Cylon Raiders. Toomer then explains, hey, the Raiders are going to send a signal in just a little bit to activate the virus. It's going to take a few seconds. When they do, you need to initiate the wipe. And if you miss the window, the virus will take over our system. So, and she even says to Adama, sometimes you got to roll the hard 6, right, Commander? Again, showcasing how much, of the memories of the other Sharon she has. So, yeah. So basically, we get the kind of setup here where the Vipers are about to face off against all of the Raiders. They form like a literal wall in space, like a very clear, structure in space with all of the ships as they head towards the Galactica. The implication being, as Adama will later say in a moment and kind of referenced earlier, that their intention is to disable the Galactica and then come in to get Toomer. So attack them, but come in to get Toomer. But yes, during all of this, Toomer is starting to do stuff and Ty starts yelling, but you got to stop this. She's going to help them. She's only helping them.
Well, let's be clear. He's not just saying that for the hell of it. Their system, they start the reboot and their system is not coming back online.
Yes.
Right away. So him saying that is rash, but it's not like he's saying that before they have tried anything.
Yes. And he starts yelling and Adama goes out, pulls up a gun and puts it to Toomer's head. And again says if they're coming for you, they will be sadly disappointed. Basically means I'll kill you before they can get here. Mm-hmm. If that's what you're hoping for. But, I think someone says, what are you waiting for? I think maybe Ty.
Ty says that.
Yeah, and she says this, at which point she sends a signal which disables all of the Cylon ships and sends them adrift. So, they managed to, she has saved them all, sent the virus back to the Cylon ships, and the Viper pilots get to have a nice moment of catharsis as they fly through and just basically can just destroy all the Cylons at their own speed. So. Yep. I do we also see one of the times that they shoot, they do enough CGI of this where they shoot one of the Cylon Raiders and it comes apart and you see all the guts inside of the Cylons. Again, body horror, cyberpunk nonsense. I'm here for it. That's my shit.
I'm here for it too, broadly speaking.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, I appreciated that they took time to do the Cylon guts. You didn't need to do that, and I appreciate that you did. But yes, Adama and Toomer share a look as he orders her to take this thing back to its cell. Yeah. So still does not humanize her. Then we get a nice little moment as we go back to the crew deck and we see that the Viper is very nearing completion, and the chief is talking to Callie and he says, I used to be small, and sort of joking with her because he can't really fit in the spot that he needs to get to on there. And then he starts talking with everybody saying, what can we use to line this ship? Well, we need floorboards. What can we do? Because it's basically an empty frame of a ship. And then Hilo comes in and says,
and they don't have the metal to spare.
Yes. And Hilo comes in and makes a suggestion. So now even he's part of the group now. And turns out his suggestion is carbon composite, which is sort of this black-looking substance, which means it'll be hard as hell to see on Dratus, making it kind of a stealth ship. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Then we cut to start.
Now, something I will note is that is them assuming that the Cylons use the same Dratus radar, whatever, technology that they do, which is, it's an assumption that is fair because that they have nothing else to go off of, but is still a massive assumption given how different the rest of their technology is.
That's true. It's true. Well, so we cut to Starbuck test piloting the Blackbird, and there's a couple little beats here. Like she shoots out, and like it kind of rumbles a little bit. When she gets out, it takes a little time for her to like get a hold of it and get a handle on it. At which point, Lee is sort of yelling at her, is like, "What are you trying to prove?" And she's like, "I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just trying to get a handle on the goddamn thing." But yes, Starbuck runs off into the black with the ship, and Lee loses sight of her, starts freaking out, and everyone's kind of worried for a hot minute, being like, there's no greatest contact, nothing. But then there's a cool moment where her ship sort of comes up in front of Lee. She turns on her helmet. I like the idea that like she literally turned off the light of her helmet so she couldn't even be seen by that. She's like...
When you stop and think about it, it does kind of bring to mind the artifice of how BS the lights in the helmets actually are.
Yeah, it's like, what do you need?
Why do you have that? And like, I'm not gonna blame the show. I've had other shows bring it to my attention because like it was actually Doctor Who that brought this to my attention because there's a number of things set farther in the future where they've got like it's the suits they use in like the Satan Pit 2-parter and
with the yellow helmets
Mars
and everything.
Yeah, which have got like these little lights that illuminate the face. But I remember listening to the commentary track, and David Tennant's like, "Oh, when those lights are on, you can't see shit because they're shining directly in your eyes."
Yeah, it's like it's beauty lighting. You gotta have your beauty lighting in space.
Yeah.
Anyways, she says, "Of course you lost contact as the damn stealth ship. Remember? So hey, it's a successful stealth ship. So we got a new Viper, a new stealth Viper."
Yep.
Then we cut to a scene that is essentially the christening of the stealth ship. So Roslin comes to see the ship, and Chief Tyrrell is there calling it Blackbird. He says, this is an honor to Roslin. She says, the honor is mine. And we also see people signing the ship. Like everyone that worked on it is getting to sign the ship. I thought that was cute. And
I thought that was a nice touch.
Yes. Roslin gives a speech saying, it's very easy to give up hope, to lose hope. Not here, not today. This is an act of faith, proof that despite all that we've lost, we keep trying and we will get through this, all of us together, I promise. So Adama is given the champagne to christen the ship, but he hands it off to Roslin, and the chief reveals, this is supposed to be a prize, but he reveals that they have named the ship the Laura, so after her, which she is clearly very touched by. Yep. And there's a cute moment where she goes to break the champagne over the ship, to which Chief is like, "Oh, no," and she goes, "No, just kidding," and then she opens the champagne bottle, and they drink some champagne. And we see a nice little moment where Racetrack goes up to Hilo and says, "Hey, hell of an idea using carbon composites," and everyone thanks Hilo. So now Hilo's part of the gang again.
And it, the usual token, we did one thing together, so everything's fine now.
Mm-hmm. But then we cut to Roslin and Adama talking, and he said they wanted to do that for you. None of this would have been, Roslin says to him, none of this would have been possible if he hadn't trusted the Cylon. And he said, I took your advice. We met on common ground. And she asked, what was that? And he says, we both wanted to live. So, and then we end the episode out with the Chief going to see Toomer, and putting the phone up to his ear to talk to her, but we don't see what they say. Which
I will be curious to see if that's a thing that actually gets directly picked up on or not.
Mm-hmm. But that is it. Again, there's not really any spoiler talk I'll do for this episode. There's a couple things here and there, but nothing that won't come up again later on. So
I mean, I assume that the stealth ship is going to be a running thing now.
Yeah, there's a couple other things here and there, but nothing of huge import. Again, nothing that won't get reiterated in a later episode that I can talk about there with. That'll be more bigger deal there. Anyways, what did you think of the episode overall?
It's fine. It's pretty good. Really?
Well, you say your part first.
I mean, like, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. It's just, it is an episode that did exactly what I thought it was going to do based off the title. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really joking when I said the title of the episode gives away 3/4 of the plot. Mm-hmm. I have my nitpicks because I always do, but pretty much everything was solid and good. I wasn't blown away by it, but it was good.
Yeah. I get it. Like this episode is not doing anything shocking or surprising in any way, really. That being said, I really liked it. And I will be honest, part of it is a bias towards where we're at in the world right now. Again, if I didn't make it obvious, like the whole idea of like everyone's kind of at each other's throats because we're all stressed the fuck out, I relate to. So having an episode that was like, hey, we're dealing with a lot of shit right now. The world seems pretty fucking grim, and we're all kind of like angry at each other and not really angry at the people who are actually the ones causing the problem, like the Cylons, aka the fascists, if we're making this over, but we're all at each other's throats. I related to that a lot, and so having an episode that's saying, "Hey, we can work through that, and we can, that we find something that we can work on and have hope, and we can still build something and hope for the future," was an episode that just really resonated with me. So this episode is just personally hitting really well at this particular moment in time in which I am watching it, and in which case I ended up really, really enjoying it as a result of that. So is it plot-wise doing anything particularly special or new? Not really, but it's a very effective version of what it's doing, and what it's doing I am just primed and in the mood for. So I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, really liked this episode. All right, anything else, Vera?
I don't think so. This is gonna end up one of our shorter episodes in a while.
still over an hour though. So
well, yes, they will never be under an hour again. I have come to accept that one.
Well, all right then. Stuff time.
Stuff. You can find my stuff by looking for Council of Geeks. Patreon is what pays the bills, and that mainly funds the Council of Geeks YouTube channel. New videos every Saturday. I don't know what's going to be out at the time that you hear this. I'm working on editing like 3 things at once, and I don't know what order they're going to come out. But new videos every Saturday. There's also the Break Room of Geeks, where I talk about whatever I've seen, watched, listened to, or played lately. You can also find Council of Geeks on Blue Sky. That's pretty much the only social media I do much with as far as that goes. That is the geeky stuff. There is, of course, the spicy stuff.
Of course, the spicy stuff.
And for that, you can look for Vera Wild. And hopefully, the ability to post spicy material has not yet been completely stripped away from us, as horrifyingly single-minded and fascistic groups claiming to be moral crusaders continue to push to shut down literally all aspects of society that they do not like. But assuming that hasn't happened yet, at the time that you hear this, you can look for Vera Wild. Wild is spelled WYLDE, and you can find increasingly spicy content on YouTube, TikTok. And you've just gotten a little taste of one of the things that is, weighing me down and on my mind at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I definitely saw all that shit with Steam and all that fucking bullshit. That is just a reiteration of the same shit that happened with OnlyFans just a few years ago. So the credit card companies,
from a very similar group pulling a very similar tactic.
Yep. Supposed feminist groups, aka very right-wing, turfy style groups, using credit card companies to get to be moralistic crusaders and take sex content off of platforms. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Huzzah! That won't be used against any other marginalized groups either, at all.
Of course not. And it's not like sex workers fucking told you. Mm-hmm. Just like it's not like trans people fucking told you.
It's almost...
Maybe I'm doubly bitter.
It's almost as if a lot of the things that trans people, sex workers, and many other marginalized folks have been warning about for years are now coming home to roost in more overt ways that affect everybody. Because it's almost as if the things that affect us affect everyone down the road. So,
yeah.
Anyways, not bitter about that at all. You can find me at Jesse Gender on YouTube, where you can find my video essays and things like that. As of this recording, I will have a video out this Friday about how fascism erases our collective history and how colonialism and fascism try to control the narrative by controlling the archive of what gets remembered about marginalized groups about us. So check that video out. It's a harder one for obvious reasons, but I do try to end and point towards some hopeful things towards the end of it, so check that one out. I will also have a Star Trek video out next. I'm literally editing it now. It's been a while since I've had a good long Star Trek video essay, so be on the lookout for that one. And then you can find me on Jesse Ginger After Dark, where I do news, reviews, reactions. I will be reviewing Star Trek Strange New Worlds for the foreseeable future, and also Peacemaker Season 2, which is coming out probably very soon after this episode goes live. I am on Nebula, which is the streaming service that houses my movie identities, and will also house the show Subliminal, which is a sort of dark anthology series about human relationships that I directed an episode of that'll be coming out sometime next year. And then I'm also on Patreon, which helps pay my bills. So if you want me to be able to eat and feed my kitties and my fiance, you can help support me over there. Anything else, Vera? Oh, I'm also on Blue Sky and Instagram. So, anything else, Vera? All right. Well, with all that said, I hope y'all live long and prosper.
Be seeing you.